Hello everybody and welcome to this video where we're going to travel to the city of Cachi in the Orosi Valley in the province of Cartago, where we're going to meet up with John Arthur, a U.S. citizen who moved to the area about 11 years ago, and he's going to share with you his experiences about his life in this part of Costa Rica. For geographic reference, Cachi is approximately 31 miles southeast of the capital city of San Jose. This drive can typically take between 1.5 to 2 hours depending on traffic conditions. Now the city of Cartago is about 30 minutes away, and as you can see here, it is a very scenic drive dropping down into the valley. On a historical note, Cartago was founded by the Spaniards in 1563, and it was actually the capital of Costa Rica until 1824, when due to an internal civil war it was moved to San Jose. Today, Cartago is the third largest city in Costa Rica by population. So now we continue our drive from Cartago as we head down to Cachi to visit with John Arthur at his home. We pass the town of Paraíso, which is the capital of the canton of Paraíso and the head of the local government. Just as a reference, Cartago has 8 cantons and Paraíso is the second largest canton within the province of Cartago. I took a walk around Paraíso so you can see what the town is like. You have several banks, city government offices are located in this area, and as is typical in many Costa Rican towns, you're going to have the church, the park, the local municipal government office, and the school all located around the park. So here we are arriving at the home of John Arthur, where we can start our conversation about what brought him to this part of Costa Rica and his advice for those considering moving to the area.
Hello everybody and welcome to our channel. We've got a new video for you today and we are in Cachi, Cartago, and we are with John, who has been gracious enough to give us this interview. This is his beautiful property, his beautiful house. And John, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
John, what made you move from the U.S. here to Cachi?
Well, that's actually two questions, because what made me move? Well, first of all, I was at a point where I could retire, and so we were looking for places outside the U.S. For a lot of reasons. I was in medicine, and the medical system has just gone kind of crazy in the States. The political system's kind of crazy. It doesn't matter which side you're on. We were ready for some adventure, so we decided, where will we move? And we looked all around, and Costa Rica just kept rising to the top of every list. And so once we found that Costa Rica was the answer, we spent a good bit of time investigating all the different parts of Costa Rica. And certainly every place is beautiful in Costa Rica. But when we found this place, the vibe was right. Everything just, the angels sang, everything was perfect. We knew this was the place.
Yeah, because you're very right. I mean, people, when you talk about Costa Rica, people tend to focus on the beach, or they're going to focus in the Central Valley, but you picked a very unique, special, I would say special area, not very popular with expats yet. How did that come about?
Well, we like to visit the beach,
okay.
But we don't want to live on the beach. Beach living, of course, is a little more expensive anywhere in the world,
Yep.
and it's hotter, and being from Texas, I was tired of the heat. So here in the mountains, we're at about 4,000 feet.
Okay.
And so we have no need of air conditioning, no need of heating. Our year-round temperature is in the mid-70s during the day, mid to upper 70s. And at night, we average around about 60 degrees. So for us, that's just perfect.
Very perfect.
And also, we left the United States to embrace and live in a different culture.
Right.
So why would we move to an area to only live with other people from the U.S.? We wanted to live with Ticos.
Costa Rican.
So
yeah.
we live here in the mountains of this Orosi Valley outside Cartago, and it's beautiful here because it reminds me of where I grew up.
Yeah.
It's close to a big city.
Yes.
But far enough away that we're in the country, so we have access to anything we need quickly, but we don't feel like we're in the city. So
That's great, and I'll show you all some video of the area where the town that we drive through in order to get to John's place. The city of Cachi is very local people, so you're definitely living right in the center with Costa Ricans, real Costa Ricans, not city Costa Rica.
No, this is real Costa Rica. This is not vacation Costa Rica. This is the real deal. And also, I live my life in Spanish. I mean, here at home, of course, we speak English, but because we're the only gringos here in this area, You know, all of my friends and everybody that we deal with, it's all Spanish all day long.
John, if we could touch a little bit, because I mean, you've got a beautiful property, a beautiful house here. I mean,
thank you.
Luscious gardens. We got the river in the background. This is, I mean, we live close to Paraíso, and this is paradise.
It is paradise. It is.
So for somebody saying, wow, I really want, you know, the kind of lifestyle that John has as far as living in a lush area, what's the price of housing in this area? Do we want to buy? Do we want to rent? Can you give us a little bit about that?
Sure. Of course, when you move to the country and outside a tourist area, the prices drop.
Yeah.
Just like anywhere in the world, but it's a more significant drop, I think, here.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, I mean, people want to know, it doesn't bother us, but when we found this property, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it a little bit later, it needed some work, you saw.
I saw it.
But we had the vision, and so we were able to transform it into what we have now. But we have 3.5 acres with the river, which makes it very special. Yeah. Sometimes you'll find a property that has a stream or a small river as the boundary line, but we own both sides. This is very, very special.
Yeah.
And we paid $225,000 for 3.5 acres with the house. Now we've done a lot of remodeling to the house and things like that. But I have a friend who just last year bought a very, very nice Tico style house just about 3 minutes from here. It's on 2 acres and it abuts the Lake Cachi. They have views of Lake Cachi.
Okay.
And it's 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. A big open concept kitchen, living room, dining room, and it has a terrace all the way around the house.
Wow.
And it has 2 ranchos, smaller ranchos down by the lake.
Okay.
Paid $135,000 for it.
Wow, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
Unheard of, you know, in the coastal areas, you're not
No,
going to
never.
you're not even going to touch a rancho for that.
No,
huh?
never.
Wow.
And rental is also the same. Now it's harder to find what you might consider more U.S. style rental property here, but there's some of it if you have boots on the ground and you're looking and you can word of mouth. For example, I have a friend right now who has an apartment for rent. It's a 2nd floor apartment. It's the unit is 2 apartments, one on top of the other.
Okay.
It's in Paraíso.
All right.
It has out the front. It has views of the Orosi and Torrealba volcanoes.
Okay.
And out the back, you see the Tapanti National Forest.
Yeah.
And it's a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It has a space for 1 covered car parking, and it's a nice open concept living kitchen dining room area. And it's $225 a month.
Wow.
You would never find anything like that at the beach.
No.
Never.
Not in the Central Valley. No.
No, never. It's out here. Now, as far as buying or renting, I tell you, for most people, it makes more sense to rent if you can find a place, I think, because costs are so low. Yeah. And then any maintenance that you have, anything you have to take care of is the owner's responsibility.
The landlord's headache, not yours.
That's right. You know, but we're crazy. We wanted to do what we wanted to do. We wanted to plant. We wanted to design the house. So we bought. Yeah. Buying, as you know, Roger, buying in Costa Rica is easy. Yeah. Selling, not always so fast, especially in a more remote area like this.
That's correct. I would agree 100%. The beaches, we see things moving fairly fast, but once you get out of the beaches, you're going to buy, but you're going to hold for a while, especially if you're out of the
Absolutely.
areas.
More farther out, it's going to take a lot longer to sell. So you have to be certain it's where you want to be.
Exactly.
So you have to really look, because, you know, just even one side of a mountain in the same town can change drastically the rainfall, the weather patterns, everything. So you really want to make sure before you buy. But I'll tell you, the taxes, when you own, there's a big advantage compared to what you're probably used to if you're coming from the States. The last year that we were living in the States, we paid $21,000 in property taxes.
Wow.
My property tax just went way up this year. because I had a reevaluation on the property this year. It went way up this year. We're paying just under $1,000 for our property tax here.
For a year.
For a year.
For a year.
For a year.
All right, did you hear that, folks? For a year. Why don't we talk a little bit about, now we talked about property taxes, a little bit about cost of living. In other words, you know, you've got plenty of years under your belt here.
Yes.
So what's your typical monthly spend in a place like this in Costa Rica?
Okay, I do this a lot for people who ask, and I can tell you, there are really two camps of people in Costa Rica. Those who believe that Costa Rica costs more than it did in the States, and those who believe it costs way less than in the States. And I want to tell you what the difference is.
Yeah.
These people who believe it costs more live in the highest priced beach tourist areas of Costa Rica, where everything costs more, and they tend to be people who pay for everything. They only go out to eat. All of that.
Right, right.
If you're like us and you're living here in a more rural area, and you prepare your own meals, and the cost of living is much less, we live way less than we did in the States. I could never live like this in the States. Even in the country, out in the country of Texas, it would be impossible. I can tell you, because people ask all the time, and Roger, you're going to understand that this is possible and that it's true.
Right.
But when you hear it the first time, coming from the expenses of the States, especially someplace if you're coming from California or someplace that's more expensive, you won't believe it. But let me tell you, we have a full-time gardener. We have a full-time handyman. And full-time in Costa Rica is 48 hours a week. We have a maid that comes every day of the week. And we have a lot of big dogs, so we're paying for a lot of animal food. We have chickens, we have goats, so I'm always buying goat food. We're paying for all of that. So those things are unusual that a lot of people might not pay for. And then we eat out. We go out maybe once a week or so, and but generally I cook here at home. We have big parties, and because I buy from the feria, the farmer's market, here where I get fresh fruit and vegetables, pennies on the dollar. All of those things I just described to you, because we own the house, we're not paying rent.
Exactly.
Okay. Including the cost of our Caja payment, because we're permanent residents, and including gasoline and our prorated amount for our house insurance and our car insurance, prorated to the month. I can tell you, drum roll, $2,500 a month.
$2,500 a month.
$2,500 a month. That's for all of our groceries. That's
property
for
taxes.
Property taxes.
Everything.
That's for everything. And we do not live on rice and beans. You can tell. So
that's almost what it took you to pay your property taxes in the U.S. for a year. Right?
What we paid for a year in property taxes, we live on here for about 9 months.
For everything.
So it's really a big difference here in the country.
Another thing that's a major consideration for expats, all of us who reach a certain age, myself included, is that we have to be conscious of what medical services are available in the rural areas. I often tell people, don't move to very, very remote areas unless you are in very good physical condition. As a former physician, what advice can you give us as an expat that wants to move to Cachi? How are the medical services? What's available?
Well, first of all, I'd say don't move to Cachi because we don't want you here.
Keep the prices low. Stay out.
Move to Orosi. Next town over. No, seriously.
Let's delete Cachi from the...
it's our secret. It's our secret.
Exactly.
No. Seriously. Medical care is an important thing to talk about. And I feel like I don't usually tell people that I'm a retired physician because I don't want people to know that, and sometimes people start to treat you differently for some reason. But let me tell you, because of that expertise, I'm dead serious when I say that the state of medical care in the private sector is as good or surpasses that of the United States. The thing that's confusing for a lot of people, because the system is different, We have private care. If you think back to the way it was in the 50s and 60s, when probably a lot of us were growing up, and you just went to the doctor and you just paid for it.
Yep.
That's the way the private care system is here.
Exactly.
And so you can get in immediately. I'll give you some examples in a minute about that. Dental care is the same way. But we also have, of course, the CAHA, which is the socialized medical system that every resident is a member of, without exclusion. No exclusions.
Yep.
You have cancer, you know, your age, it doesn't matter. Diabetes, you're included. Now, it's a socialized system, so just like anywhere in the world, you'll get good care, but you may have to wait.
Right.
I have a friend that's been needing a hip replacement. She'll get it for free, but she's been waiting 1.5 years to get it.
Right.
So this is the same as England or a lot of other socialized countries. It's very much the same. I would liken it to the thing most in the States, most like the CAHA system here, would be to think about the VA system in the States. If you're a veteran and you're covered under the VA system, you'll get care.
Right.
It may be a little longer. You can get good care. It may be a little different than you'd get in a private setting.
Gotcha.
But it's still here. So we have the advantage of both of those things. But the private care system here is outstanding. And costs, well, let me come back to costs and talk about location. If you have something that needs major care routinely, an immunological problem or something like that, you need to be close to San Jose. Because you need to be close to SEMA or Clinica Biblica or one of the big hospitals where they can do all that sort of thing.
Okay.
But here in Cartago, we have a large CAHA hospital and we have a regional private hospital. And that regional hospital, it's called Hospital Universal, is fantastic. And you can do anything from knee replacements, hip replacements, urological problems, heart attack even, anything like that.
Okay.
But I will tell you that costs are what is really astounding. I'll give you a couple of quick examples. I lost a crown. It was a porcelain crown. And I had to go here to my local dentist in Orosi.
Okay.
And I went in and he said, "Oh yeah, I can replace that for you. But would you like the new technology?" And I said, "I don't even know what the new technology is." And he said, "Well, these days we can still do the metal with porcelain crown, or we could do a zirconium crown." He says it's translucent, it looks like a real tooth, it's made out of the same stuff they make the fake diamonds out of, zirconium. And it's so hard it won't ever break. And he said, "But it costs more." And I said, "Oh, how much?" So he told me, and I said, "Okay, let's do it." So we went in, he took off the old crown, he cleaned it all up, he did the impressions, he sent off for the new zirconium crown. 3 days later, not 3 weeks later, 3 days later, it was ready. I went back in. He did the placement. He checked everything. He had me come back a week later just to make sure that the fit was right. And then he suggested I even come back another week just to be sure I wasn't having any problems. And all of that, including all those visits, the cost of the crown fabrication and the placement and everything, was $375.
No. Wow. Huh?
Okay.
Now you're really going to get people to move to
Orosi. My dentist is in Orosi.
Go to Orosi. Go to Orosi.
Also, Michael had to have a colonoscopy. He happened to be in Florida, and his doctor in Florida said, I need you to have a colonoscopy. It was going to be 2 weeks to get in to see the specialist, and then who knows how much longer before the colonoscopy would be scheduled. And I said, just do it here in Costa Rica, fly back home. So he got on the plane. I called at Universal in Cartago. I called the specialist office, made an appointment to see the gastroenterologist the next day. And the total cost, the hospital time, the recovery room, the anesthesia, the doctor visit, everything, $250.
Oh, wow. Huh?
So
that's even a lot cheaper than San Jose. Huh?
At medical care, I have zero concerns. In fact, I'm going to probably have to have knee replacements one day soon. And all of my friends say, "Are you going back to the States to have it done?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." "Why not? Just do it here." Just do it here. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people actually flying down for knee replacements because it's become a very big medical tourism center to do knee replacements as well.
Medical tourism and especially dental tourism is very big here, and it's high quality. It really is.
Okay. John, another item that's on everybody's mind, of course, these days, or all over the world these days, is the crime and safety. And so your experience living in this area, how do you feel about your safety and the crime around this area? How's the community? Are they looking out for each other? What's your feeling on that?
This area, most of Costa Rica is very safe. It really, truly is. Just like anything on the beaches and the tourist areas, you're going to have a lot more of that kind of thing as people realize people are traveling. But that's the case with a lot of places in the world. But here where we live, if there is any crime, it's generally just a crime of opportunity. But I will tell you, even that is very rare. I know if I were to leave my phone on the table at the beach and run to the bathroom, when I came back, my phone would be gone. Okay? I left my phone on the table here at a local restaurant one time, and I came back, and it was gone. Because there were 3 people walking around the restaurant saying, "Is this your phone? Is this your phone? Is this your phone?" When at night you see a woman pushing a stroller with her baby in the evening down the street and looking at her cell phone, not scanning to see if everything is okay. You know, she's completely comfortable. You know that there's no concerns about it. About 2 years ago, we had a woman who was visiting in Orosi, and she lost her pocketbook, and it had her passport and all of her credit cards and all of her cash and her U.S. driver's license and everything. And of course, the locals here were concerned. Somebody found it. And of course, they called me because she was blonde. And of course, I must know all the gringos. I didn't know her. She was visiting. I didn't know her.
They all know who you are, right?
But that's what happened. They all knew me.
Let's go to the Gringo Juan.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually, they call me, and I love it. They call me Don Juan.
Don Juan.
Well, anyway, somebody found her wallet, and they called me. She had left it at a restaurant again, and they called me and said, "Do you know?" And I said, "Well, I don't know her, but I know where she's staying." So I called over to Orosi, where she was staying. They sent her back over here to Cachi, and she picked up her wallet. Now, the wallet had gone through the whole day and had been passed through about 4 or 5 different hands by the time it got back to her. When she got it, she told me everything was in it. Every dime that she had, all of her credit cards, everything was still in it. No problem. That tells you a lot about our area. We've been here, this is our 11th year living here, and I can tell you that the only time that we've experienced any kind of crime ourselves in this area was during the height of the pandemic, when Costa Rica had about a 26% unemployment rate. And I felt like it was kind of like the story of Les Miserables. Somebody was trying to get enough something for bread for the family, for their kids. And I left the gate unlocked one night, and I left the garage unlocked, and somebody came in and helped themselves to a couple of my power tools. You know, that was it. That was it. That tells you a lot.
That tells you a lot. Well, I think the whole area of Cartago was traditionally a very agricultural base. So they grew up with very strict work ethics and so the people of Cartago have a reputation generally in Costa Rica as being one of the hardest working people in the entire country.
The best compliment that I ever got after living here for a while, I asked someone, I said, "Okay, I've been here for a while. What do you think about this crazy gringo that lives here in town?" They think you're a Tico. I said, "Why?" Which is a great compliment to me. I said, "Why?" They said, "Because you work harder than any of the Ticos around here. You're dirty all day long working on some project in the garden. You get up early, you work late. You're always helping someone else. You're always working. You always have a project. You're a Tico." I thought, that's fantastic. I'll take it all day long.
You fit right into the Cartago work ethic. John, we talked a little bit about, not many expats living in this area. So, for example, those that move to this area, of course not Cachi, Orosi.
Orosi.
Don't move here. But if you move to Orosi, how do you make friends? You know, what's there to do locally, culturally, and things like that?
There are, I mean, no one keeps an exact number, but I would say in the entire Orosi Valley, which encompasses the municipality of Paraíso, it's about 24,000 people. Orosi, about 12,000 people. Cachi, we're only about 4,000 or 5,000 people here. That whole valley, and all the little towns and pueblos in between is the Orosi Valley. And I would say in all of that area, there maybe are 100 expats. Now, I don't know all of them, and we don't socialize with all of them, but we have a group of expats that we are closer kinship with.
Okay.
We often have parties together and things like that. And when I say expat, I don't mean just U.S. We had a dinner party here not too long ago, and we were sitting around our big table in there, and I looked around the table, and I was sitting next to a retired German ship captain who was sitting next to the ambassador of Costa Rica to Barbados, who was passing bread to a retired Japanese magician, who was talking to a retired London fashion designer, who was sitting next to a full-blood American Indian lady who was married to an Irishman who lived here. I mean, it's all over the place.
All over the place, yeah.
But when we have our parties, it is, well, we have a big Halloween party every year. We love Halloween. It's kind of new for Costa Rica. We have a big Halloween party. We have about 100 people come to the house. And of that, I would say about maybe 30, 35 are gringos, and about 70, 75 are ticos. And it's kids and adults and singles, and it's a big mix, and we have just the best fun ever. Culturally, things are a little different. If you come from the south in the United States, it may be more what you're used to.
Right.
For example, these days the states have gotten so busy, and if you come from a more northern clime where it's a lot of rat race, fast-paced, you know, for example, you might go to the hardware store and you say, you walk in, you say, where are the hammers? You know, you walk in, you see somebody, you say, where are the screws? Never here. You know, the first thing, first of all, it's extremely,
Buenos dias.
Yeah, it's extremely rude.
Buenos
so
dias.
Much more like the South. First thing is, how are you?
Exactly.
And they say, oh, I'm fine. And you go, it's a lovely day, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. And did you see the Celi, La Selección, the soccer team?
Yeah.
Did you see the game? Oh, it was wonderful, wasn't it? And then they'll say, what can I do for you?
Yeah, exactly.
And
there
then you
go.
say, I'm looking for a hammer. And then the first case, they would say, it's over there on aisle 12, and it may be on aisle 14 because you were rude. In the second case, they say, oh, a hammer, let me take you. And they take you by the hand and they lead you over and they say, now this one is a good one and this one's a better one, but personally, I like this one. It changes everything.
Yes. Kind of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of interest in Costa Rica. You know, tourism here is mushroomed completely, so there's a lot of eyes on Costa Rica. So a lot of people fall in love with the idea of paradise. I'm going to move to Costa Rica. What are some common misconceptions versus realities that you could point out after 11 years in Costa Rica?
Yeah, sure. I will tell you that people come and vacation here and they talk about how wonderful the vacation was. And I'm sure it was. Because it's a fantastic place to visit. People come back all the time. That's why we're so high on tourism. But living here is not the same as vacationing here. And too many people vacation for a couple of weeks and say, I'm going to buy a place in Costa Rica. And then they get here and there's a shock. There's a cultural shock. Because living here is not like vacationing. The culture is a little different like we talked about.
Right.
But more than that, when you're on vacation, you don't have to figure out where to pay taxes, how to buy groceries, where to get a haircut. You know, daily life has to go on once you live somewhere.
Exactly.
And there's bureaucracy here, like in any government. It's not worse than the States, it's just different. It's a different kind. And the best thing you can do to alleviate some of the bureaucracy is do that thing of, buenos dias, how are you? Before you ever talk about anything else.
Step one. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is that you really have to be prepared for the idea that living and I know it seems like a no-brainer. You should know this, but living somewhere is not the same as vacationing. You still have some headaches. You still have things you have to deal with. You have things you have to repair. You have trouble with your car. You have to figure out where's the good mechanic. All those kinds of things, and it's harder if you don't speak Spanish, of course.
Of course, yeah.
And in this area, the entire Orosi Valley, it's not like on the coast where English is widely spoken.
Right.
And you can get by with only English. Here in this area, you really need to speak Spanish. There are people, I have friends who speak almost no Spanish, and they've managed to get by.
Okay.
But it's much harder because they miscommunicate so many times, they misunderstand things. So in this area, Spanish is really high on the list, at least a little bit of Spanish. And then be prepared for all those things that you have to deal with. The other thing is, things that you assume and you don't even realize you're assuming them. The things that you assume are just the normal way to do things because it's the way we've always done them in the States, are not the way they're done here.
That's correct.
And so if you come with an open mind and rid yourself as many of the assumptions as you can possibly find, and be open to that challenge, you'll be fine.
I think that's some sound advice and something that I see in my practice as well. I mean, if you come down with a certain mentality, that I'm going to change the locals.
Oh no.
You're going to run into brick walls and you're going to be frustrated and you're going to want to go home. But if you have an open mind, go with the flow, take the punches, you know, and just take it as an adventure, I think your transition is much smoother in Costa Rica.
Absolutely, absolutely, because we, gringos, you're a local, we are the visitors here. And the Costa Ricans have been gracious enough to accept us into their lives, into their country, into their culture. It's now my country. I'm a permanent legal resident here. I have no intention to ever leave, but I'll always be a gringo. The great compliment of, oh, you're a Tico is a compliment. Our life is really wonderful, but you have to make it that.
Exactly. Well, John, I think we've covered almost everything that somebody considering moving to Costa Rica, and especially in this beautiful area, should consider. Sound advice. I really appreciate your time and inviting me to your beautiful property and the time I'm spending here with you. Always a pleasure to have you and see you again.
It's always great to be with you, Roger. I have to tell you, we used Roger from the outset when we bought this property. We've bought several other pieces of real estate transactions that we've done here, and cars and residency, everything we've used Roger. Because you're Tico, you grew up here, but you also grew up speaking English. You're so fluent, but you know, you're trained not only in Costa Rican law, but you know U.S. law. And so you know how the two need to fit together. So
thank you, John.
Congrats to you.
That certainly helps. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Whether you're looking to move to or simply curious about life in Costa Rica, as you can see, the Orosi Valley certainly has a lot to offer. Thank you for watching the video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content about living in Costa Rica.